Tell me your thought process on this, man. Awesome Stuff 1983 and Bruce Mastovich both feel like Pat Freiermuth is essentially our wide receiver too. Do you feel comfortable with that look? Do you think that could be how we trying to play this thing?
Maybe.
Are you confident? Like, is that comfortable to you?
And we got one of those guys in Jefferson, Watkins, or someone. Yeah, I honestly think we can roll into the season with what we got and be fine on offense. Yeah. Someone's just gonna have to step up.
Yeah, step up. That's the thing.
Because we got Russ, we got an improved O-line. Running game should be really nice. We got Pickens. Like, I like the foundation that we got a lot. Some people
low-key concerned about Muth, though, and his ability to step up, whether it's by availability or just simple production.
I'm more worried about his availability. I think he's a really good player for us.
I think both things I can understand where people could come from with it. Because right now, I'm just thinking back to the convo that we had a couple years ago when it was Muth versus Dawson Knox, right? And then we were kind of like, man, Muth hasn't been available to kind of get back to that. But I even think about in Buffalo how Dawson Knox is perceived and why they went and drafted a Dalton Kincaid. And it was like, oh, this is exactly why. We're going to play through tight ends. We need even more than what that is giving us right now. And I look at Muth and I'm just thinking to myself, which version is Muth? Is Muth closer to Dawson Knox? Can Muth give me actually what Dalton Kincaid was given? Because those are still a difference in terms of just playing through your tight ends.
Yeah.
And that's my only part. And it's still two of those dudes. Whereas here, we're still talking about one dude and a GP. I just think we're still just a little bit light with this.
Yeah, I think Muth, for his first 2 years, did give us more Kincaid because with Ben, he had, 500 yards and like 8 touchdowns?
Yeah.
That's good tight end numbers right there. And then last year, or 2 years ago, I guess, Kenny's rookie year, he had 700 yards, 700-something yards.
You start flirting with 7s, 8s, like
and that was with, even those 2 years, him missing like a game or two in each of those seasons.
Absolutely.
With injuries. But last year was the one where he missed extended time and, obviously quarterback situation wasn't completely optimal.
Yeah, definitely didn't help, man.
Canada and his nonsense. But, yeah, I think last year was the year where we really started to question Muth because before that, no, he was on good pace.
Yeah. Well, because like you said, first year.
He was like a top 6 tight end.
First year he finished at around 500 yards, 7 touchdowns. Next year was 730.
I gave him an extra touchdown.
And then he only had 2 touchdowns. That was a little bit of the knock. Both years played in 16 games, though. Last year was the first time we saw him, like I said, drop to the 12-game moniker. And that was obviously the worst statistical year in terms of just 300 receiving yards. But he still had the 2 receiving touchdowns.
What was his yards per game last year versus the other
last
two?
Year, 9 point. It was the second best in terms of yards per game. 9.6 or that's per catch. So yards per game. No, actually, it was worse. So 25.7 yards per game last year. He averaged 45.8 yards per game the second season when he had the 732 receiving yards. And then his first year, 31.1 yards per game. Yep. And in terms of yards per target, 6.6 last year, which was second best. He had 6.3 his first year and then 7.5 yards per target that second year where he obviously had the 700-plus receiving yards.
Yeah, I think he just needs to stay healthy. That's my thing. In terms of being like Travis Kelce, I think that's a different story versus Dalton Kincaid now because Bills fans' hope is Dalton Kincaid can become Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
But like, what did Kincaid have last year?
First
like
year, first year, 73 receptions, 673 through the air, 2 receiving touchdowns. Then postseason gave you another 100 with receiving touchdown there in the 2 games.
You see what I mean? I think Muth's already there. Muth, he had that 702 in Kenny's rookie season.
Yeah.
It's just, last year he took a step back, an unexpected step back, because I thought he was just only going to build off of what he did in his first 2 years.
And then let me pull.
And part of it was injuries. Part of it was just the mess of an offense that we had going last year too. So with him being here, Arthur Smith, Russ, improved O-line, should be better. I don't know if it's to the degree where he's getting 100 receptions every season, but being like a really damn good tight end that's worth a second contract, I think, that should at least be the case for him.
Because when Dawson Knox got his deal, his first 2 years it was 388 receiving, 288 receiving, 2 tutties, 3 tutties. Then he had his big jumps in his third and fourth year. 587, 9 touchdowns, 517, 6 touchdowns, Pro Bowl year, and that's when he got the contract. Last year, he was kind of banged up, and he had his worst statistical year. Played in 12 games, only a $186 receiving, but he had the 2 receiving touchdowns. But that was also, like I said, him missing the time. Kincaid, Cook, everybody else kind of stepping up. So that's why I'm like, right now for Kincaid, fresh out, they look at that as, yo, you're the guy that's going to take that step to be a Kelsey type. Whereas Dawson Knox is like, yo, when you're healthy, you're a 600-yard type tight end. Dope, steady Eddie, but you're the number 2 type of dude, right? I just don't personally think that his athleticism is to the point of Kincaid. Whereas, like you said,
right,
like Kincaid looks like the Kelsey type. He looks like that type of receiver, which we think Muth is more closer to that. So that's the part we're going to find out. But once again, I'm speaking on 2 of these dudes there in the offense like that, whereas we're trying to see can Muth do a wide receiver 2's lion's share of work with it just being the singular version of him. So like I said, that's the part where I was like, yo, how comfortable or confident do we feel that he can do that based on guys that we're comping him with and just looking at where they're at along with style of offense as well.
Yeah, I think you just bring up style of offense. I think that's what it's going to be dependent on, because Mark Andrews over with the Ravens,
yeah, he's another one.
He was their number 1 for the last however many seasons. Number 1. I don't. Yeah. Well, he was hurt last year,
but up until they brought in Bateman, he's been the guy.
I mean,
not Bateman. Flowers. Excuse me, till Flowers. Zay Flowers, where you kind of saw the
and that
switch.
was with Andrews being hurt last year. Yeah. So Andrews was like their number 1. And I'm not thinking Andrews is like anything crazy more talented than Muth. So I think it just depends on the style of offense. Maybe it's almost like with the Titans in a way. Because I just wanted to look back and see what the Titans were doing with Smith. Mm-hmm. They had A.J. Brown, obviously, as their main guy.
Yeah.
Jonnu Smith was their tight end.
Yeah.
He wasn't putting up crazy numbers. It was around like 400, 500 yards. He had 8 touchdowns in, 2020.
Okay.
They also had Corey Davis as their number 2.
Yeah.
984 with 5 touchdowns.
Former first rounder?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
And then obviously you had Derrick Henry.
Yeah. That's back when he was trying to get them 2Ks.
I know a lot of people would complain about the tight ends' involvement in the Falcons' offense with Arthur Smith. But it's weird because Kyle Pitts' rookie year, he did really good. That was with Matt Ryan. Mm-hmm. So maybe that was just more on the quarterback not being able to get the ball to Kyle Pitts as opposed to Arthur Smith.
Well, they went through a couple of different quarterbacks, and even to the point where they paid Kirk Cousins $100 guaranteed and then drafted Michael Penix. So clearly they weren't happy with that quarterback situation.
Is Muth capable of getting us 800 yards this year? Is that the question? Is that what we're getting at?
Yeah, I feel like it.
Because if you told me our wide receiver 2 got 800 yards, I'd be satisfied with that. As long as Pickens did his thing.
But you named 3 different wide receiver. 1 got to be over $100, right? Or over $1,000.
Definitely.
Wide receiver.
Are you talking
2,
about in that Titans offense?
Yeah, because I'm like, you named 3 different people. You said 8.
No, Derrick Henry had 2,000 yards that year.
Oh, well, I was going to say, we short something, bro. I was like, yeah, we still missing a chunk. Yeah. Because if Muth give me 800 and GP give me a $1,000, I'm like, who's giving me my 600 though that was replacing my tight ends production? Because I'm still,
I think one of these receivers could do that.
Well, that's what I'm hoping, but you see how it's like that's the part for me where I'm just like.
But then Najee and Jalen's got to have. Well, so they had Henry having 2,000 on the ground. Jeremy McNichols was their running back 2 with 200. Could Jalen and Najee give us 2,200 total? Because that's not even included. Derrick Henry didn't do anything receiving.
He don't catch. Yeah.
Could they give us a total of?
We need 2,200 though.
2,300 of rushing receiving between the running backs.
Listen, that's the big cheat code in this equation right here. If you got 2K on the ground, bro, that changes a lot. But you're viewing the offense differently. We got a 2,000 yard rusher, bro.
And I think we can do that with having Arthur Smith here. Like Tannehill didn't throw for over 4,000. This is 3,800.
I'm saying in the sense of like. Not 2,000 yards of production out the backfield. I'm saying a 2,000 yard runner. I think you're even playing them just drastically different because it's like, yo, I don't care what y'all do it. He's clearly the best player out here. I don't know how we play that. Like, I mean, What their numbers were last year though? Let's see what they
with the Falcons. Like,
no. Us with Warren and Naj. I want to see.
They're not far off.
Yeah, I want to
in
see,
terms
like,
of total yards.
That's what. Yeah, but
definitely not far off.
Let me pull them out. Hold on. So
because Najee had 1,000, he probably had like 300 receiving, 300 receiving, and then Jalen had. I know Jalen had 1,100 total yards. He had like 700 and 300 something.
Yeah, so Naj 1,100.
Yeah,
almost 1,200 last year.
That's 2,200 right there.
Yeah, because he had 1,350 ground, $170 receiving.
And that receiving was down.
Yeah,
for what's typical with him.
Yeah, because first year he gave us 467, then 229, then it was only $170 last year from a receiving standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's the offense with Arthur Smith. Can Russ get us, 3,800? Get us, 25 to 30 touchdowns?
Because I'm like, as long as they can combine to lock that in, then that does account for the Derrick Henry style production. But it's like, if you don't have that part, we missing some numbers in this equation, man.
Yeah, I think maybe that's why I'm not as stressed about receiver and having a bona fide wide receiver number 2, especially with you bringing up Muth. I completely forgot about that because I do think Muth he could get us 700-800. I don't see why he can't.
With that amount of rushing yards, you're also shortening the game, and that's one of the things that Tennessee did. It makes you almost have to play mistake free. It's like what Baltimore did when they first took over with Lamar. Instead of you getting 10 to 12 possessions per game, you're only getting about 7 to 8, 8 to 9. And it's like you have to be efficient. You don't got time for a ton of 3-and-outs. You don't have time for turnovers because now you're playing the I'm trailing and I got a press type game, and we've seen how teams struggle with that. That's the other added benefit of them dudes being able to account for, that $2,000 total in production out there. That can definitely work, though.
But I do think if you can improve the position, you do it. That's been Omar Khan's mantra this whole offseason.
As a fan,
we
would enjoy it a lot more if we didn't have to depend on them having 2,000 yards of production for us to, survive this and feel like, oh, all right, we are winning. They're doing enough. I think
like if we
would much rather
go shotgun at times and just have Rush sling it to Pickens, Ayuk, and have Roman Wilson out there and Muth.
Yeah,
like, hey, I'm all for that too because Russ, if we get down double digits, Russ can come back.
He's definitely capable.
He go shotgun and get us back in these games.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm not saying that to say let's not upgrade the position. Like I think we can rock with what we got, but doesn't hurt if we can also bring in a Brandon Ayuk or a Cortland Sutton or a T. Higgins. And I think still, as we sit here today, Cortland Sutton makes just flat out the most sense.
Look, I'm still waiting until June 1st. I'm holding out hope.
DK. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I'm holding out hope. If you don't make a move until June 1st, let that be the surprise on June 1st.
DK or Cortland Sutton. Actually, those would probably be. Ayuk would be sick. Higgins would be sick. But remember with DK and his contract, I would take DK over
it has
Ayuk
the best
or
scenario.
Higgins.
It was the best scenario all
around.
around.
And I think DK is just better than Sutton.
It's the best scenario all around.
He is the best. Yeah. But if I'm going off most realistic, it's probably Sutton. Omar Khan's done some wonders.
That's all I'm saying,
far.
Man. I heard Russ was impossible.
Why settle?
I heard Russ was impossible. I've heard Fields was impossible. And we see where we are all in the same off season. It was the same weekend dang there, bro. It's like, all right, stop playing with this, man, bro.
I think it was.
It was like the same weekend, bro.
It happened really fast.
They say you can't. It's like, all right, don't say what you can't do. Don't say what he won't do. Because clearly he's not playing the way that y'all think he played. They were, bro, that was the whole, like, people was, it'll never be Fields. Why y'all crazy? It'll never be Ray. You crazy. They both sit here right now. Not one, I meant both on. It's like, sheesh.
What if we got DK and Sutton?
I'm scared to ask what it costs, but for Omar,
it's not going to cost us anything for
Omar.
Sutton. It's like a 5th round pick, I'm saying. They want to get rid of him anyway. They drafted Troy Franklin, Bo Nix's buddy, back in Oregon.
But you named both of them. You named DK and Sutton. I'm just like, I don't know. I think somehow
DK is going to be a first.
I feel like somehow we're going to be like, we bled a little bit in this altercation. We still won, but we bled a little bit. I just want to see how much we're going to bleed in it.
Just get all that familiarity, get all those connections for Russ. Because those two did well with Russ. this did really well. Because even Sutton, even though he didn't have crazy yards, he had 10 touchdowns last year. He was a good red zone target for us.
Yeah.
And we know what Deke did those first 3 years. He averaged like 1,000
DK,
yards.
bro.
He averaged like 1,000 yards and like 10 touchdowns.
It's Deke, bro.
His first 3 years out in Seattle with Russ.
Yeah.
That's
Run
damn
after,
good.
bully, toughness, effort.